Hey everyone, it's Alyssa, and this is Always Cinema Chic. And I know it's been a while, but I just went to the movie theater for the first time a few weeks ago, and I felt like I needed to chat about it. So, of course, I saw A Quiet Place 2. That was the movie that I was holding out for. That was the one that I was like, nope, if I'm going to wait to go to the movie theater, this is the movie that I need to go see. And I am so glad that I did that. This was definitely the perfect first movie back. So, A Quiet Place Part 2 is directed by John Krasinkski, and it stars Emily Blunt, Cillian Murphy, Millicent Simmons, and Noah Jule. And this is just the continuation from the first story. It basically starts off right where you left off in the first one. The one thing I would say is if you didn't see the first one, you should absolutely not see the second one without seeing that first. But other than that, I can't imagine if someone liked the first movie that they're going to dislike the second one, because I found that there were things that I liked even better about this particular movie. So I'm going to steer clear of spoilers with this one. So if you haven't seen it, it's coming onto Paramount Plus pretty soon. I think it was a 45-day streamer after it was released in the movie theater. And I'm pretty sure you could still see it in the movie theater as of the time I'm recording this right now. So the things that I really loved about this movie is, after that first one, I didn't necessarily think that there needed to be a sequel. I thought it was the perfect ending with the mother and the daughter, and I was totally satisfied with that. But with that said, the way this was put together and the way the story developed and the way they kind of expand the narrative so it's not so insular as the way the first one is, really, really worked for me. It was exciting to see not just what was going on inside of that house, but what was going on for everyone in that whole surrounding area. And this one definitely focuses more on that. And one of the big surprises for me was that Emily Blunt was definitely the main character to me in the first one. And in this second one, she definitely takes a little bit of a step back, and the emphasis is much more on the kids, but also on this new character that Cillian Murphy plays, who's like a very mysterious kind of man. And I would say the acting in this, even though I love the acting in the first one, and I actually thought Emily Blunt should have gotten a nomination for her performance in the first movie, I actually think the acting is better in the second movie. And it pains me to say this because I love John Krasinkski. He is so funny. He's such a good director. But seeing him next to Cillian Murphy, he's not as good of an actor as Cillian Murphy. Cillian Murphy is definitely, in my opinion, one of the most underrated actors who's working today. So like when I think of Peaky Blinders and his role as Thomas Shelby, which is one of my favorite TV shows I've ever seen in my life, and then I think about him in like 28 Days Later, or even something like Breakfast, Pluto. He is such a diverse actor. He can take basically any role and he will just understand it inside and out. Whereas with John Krasinkski, there were definitely some moments in the first movie where I felt like I was laughing a little bit at his acting, even when I felt like I wasn't supposed to be. Like, he's not the greatest serious actor. Maybe it's something about his face. I just see the kind of like Jim expressions from The Office, and that's it. But as a director, he's amazing. And I don't think this is a spoiler, but he is in the movie a bit through flashbacks, and that was perfect. It was like the perfect amount, and you could still really understand the new characters and see where the story was going. I also thought that Millicent Simmons, who plays the daughter, was even better in this film than in the first film. And she was great in the first movie. She definitely has a lot more to do in the second. And with having so much more to do, she's able to showcase her acting and her range so much more. And I'm excited to see what kind of roles this actress is going to take in the future, because she works so well in this film because she's so authentic and genuine to the character. She never feels like she's acting. And to me, that's just the sign of the perfect actor. And I just can't wait to see, now that she's getting older, she's becoming more of a young woman, the kind of roles that are going to pop up for her. And I really hope she gets a lot, and a lot of good ones, because she definitely deserves it. So the structure of the narrative was great. I would say even better than the first one was the sense of like cross-cutting and the editing and the building of action. It just was that sort of perfectly written 101 kind of narrative where you're going back and forth between certain sequences, and the tension is just rising and rising and rising. And it feels like once the movie starts, so once you get that first scene, it does not let up for basically the entire film. It's really hard to catch your breath. You see a lot more of the alien monsters, whatever you want to call them. They're in the second one a lot more than in the first one. So there's definitely more action. There's more suspense throughout this. I still would not call this a horror movie. I didn't feel scared throughout any of it. But I would say maybe if you were a person who was beginning with horror movies, this would be a good place to start, because I can't really imagine this frightening too many people. But the level of suspense and anticipation is very, very high. And so it all kind of balances out with that. Of course, the sound design in this is incredible. And hearing it in the theater, hearing those speakers in the theater with a big screen, with not a very big audience, like, it really made this movie. And that's why I would say this is one of the perfect ones to go back to the movie theater for. This is definitely a movie theater movie. When, you have such quiet, and all of a sudden that quiet is kind of broken with these very loud sounds. You're just hearing sounds coming from everywhere in the theater, and it was just so much fun. And I saw the first one in the movie theater, and if I'm comparing the two together, I felt like they put even more kind of thought into the sound design in the second one compared to the first one. So there's definitely even more improvements there. And I would say I am super impressed with John Krasinkski as a director. He knows how to really direct the actors. I felt like there was a lot of camera movement in this. Now, every once in a while, in this one, not the first one, I noticed there was a bit more of that like Michael Bay circle around. And it's funny because I forget Michael Bay is either like the executive producer or the producer, and I know that they're friends with each other. So it was unusual to see little bits of Michael Bay sort of like popping up in this movie. But the main difference is that Krasinski knows when to kind of like hold off and not do it all the time like Michael Bay does. So it still feels like a really succinct, great thriller. It's only an hour and a half. Again, I love the runtime on these movies because all of the excess scenes, they're cut out. Everything you need is there. You get great character development. You learn a lot more about the characters. The one negative I would say about the movie, and this is not his fault, it's more of the way the character is written. I do not like the brother, the little boy in it, Noah Jule. And I know I like Noah Jule. He was so good in Honey Boy, perfect casting. I think it's just this character, and it's the way the character is written. So not to spoil anything, but there are scenes where he does things in the movie that just don't make any sense to me. And it's like, all right, it's that quintessential horror movie. Like, well, no, why are you doing that? Like, why are you leaving right now? This is the stupidest move that you could make. And I thought you were scared. Like, why are you doing this? So there were just things that the character does that I would maybe have gone in a different direction, but that is more to do with the writing. But in the end, I understand the purpose of it and the way it all comes together in the end, and how you're left at the end of the second one, which is going to set you up for the third one that we know is coming out. It all makes sense. And it does feel like there's much more of a shift and a focus onto the kids in this particular movie. And I really, really hope that they keep Cillian Murphy's character and put him into the third one, because I don't know, he was, for me, the standout. Like, there was one scene in particular by a dock where everything looked like it was just not going to go well. And there was that moment that just reminded me of 28 Days Later. And it's probably just because that's one of my favorite movies like I've ever seen in my life. So I'm always just like a little prone to thinking everyone's a zombie when he's in a movie. It's not that, so I'm not spoiling anything, but he is just phenomenal in this scene. This is when you take great, excellent, classically trained actors and then you put them in these suspense movies. They get to the core of the character and it gives the movie so much more heart. So I just absolutely love this. I would give this an A in both directions in terms of the artistry, the watchability. I would definitely watch this movie every few years. It would be in my rotation. And I thought that, all of the set designs and the monster alien kind of design of it was really interesting, scary. The sound works so well, the editing works so well, the acting works so well, the direction is great. So I mean, it's just as of now, with the movies that I've seen in 2021, which haven't been that many, admittedly, that go beyond like, Netflix movies or something like that, this is by far the best. And I'm not counting the ones that were, included in Academy Award nominated films. Like to me, those are movies from 2020. And I am going to do a list where I do my top films of 2020. There's still just one movie that I have to see before I do that, just to see if that movie would, in fact, make my top 10. So I would love to hear if you guys have seen this movie, if you liked it, what you liked about it, or if you didn't like it, or what your first movie has been back to the movie theater. If you have made it back, it's just really exciting to be able to do things like this again. I think I'll be able to see Black Widow in the theater. So there's just some really exciting things that are coming out, especially in the fall, especially in the winter. Been following Cannes and seeing the films that are coming out. Very excited for The French Dispatch. So there's just a lot of great things to look forward to. So I hope that everyone So I hope that everyone